You have never made a Facebook account. Or maybe you deleted yours years ago and never looked back. So when I tell you that Facebook has been quietly building a file on you for at least a decade, a file with your name, your phone number, possibly your photo, your relationships, and a reasonable guess at where you live, what would you say to that? Because the most disturbing part of how Facebook collects data isn't what it does with users. It's what it does with people who refused to be users. There's a name for that file, and Facebook has never been comfortable saying it out loud. By the end of this video, you'll know what that name is, how they built the file on you without ever meeting you, and why one mid-level congressman managed to get the CEO of Facebook to admit on live television that none of this was supposed to be possible. The term is shadow profile. Facebook does not use it. They have never used it, but everyone else does. Researchers, journalists, privacy regulators, and at least one US congressman who said it directly to Mark Zuckerberg's face under oath. And the reason the term stuck is because it describes exactly what it is: a profile of you, built in the shadows, without you knowing. Here's the simplest way to picture it. Imagine a giant filing cabinet inside Facebook, separate from the regular user accounts. Inside that cabinet is a folder for nearly every adult in the developed world. Some folders are thick. Those belong to active users. Some folders are thin. Those belong to people who have never logged in. But the folder exists. And every time someone you know does something on Facebook, your folder gets a little thicker. So how is that even possible? You never gave Facebook permission. You never typed your phone number into anything blue. The answer is that you didn't have to. Other people did. Here's the mechanism, and it's the kind of thing that's hard to believe until you see it. When someone, a friend, a coworker, a family member, installs the Facebook app or the Messenger app, they get a polite little prompt: sync your contacts to find friends. Most people say yes. They don't read it carefully. They just want to find their cousin. The moment they tap yes, Facebook gets a complete copy of their phone's address book. Every name, every number, every email, every nickname, including yours, even though you've never agreed to anything, even though you've never opened the app. Your name and number now sit on Facebook's servers, attached to your friend's account, and not just from one friend, from every friend, every cousin, every old roommate who ever synced their contacts and forgot. Each upload adds a little more detail: the phone number on one upload, the full name on another, a birthday from a third, a profile photo that someone tagged you in. Slowly, in the dark, Facebook is reconstructing you. And once they've connected those dots, they keep building. They cross-reference your contact data with the Facebook pixels embedded on millions of websites across the open internet. You know those little log in with Facebook buttons? Even if you never click them, the page hosting that button can be reporting your visit back. They cross-reference with mobile advertising IDs from apps that share data with Meta's ad platform. They watch which Facebook users keep adding you to their contact lists, which tells them roughly where you live, who your family is, and how old you probably are. By the time Facebook has talked to a few dozen of your acquaintances, the shadow profile is genuinely detailed. Not as detailed as a real user, no, but detailed enough to predict things, detailed enough to sell, detailed enough to do the one thing the company always swore it didn't do, which is exactly when this stopped being a rumor and started being a hearing. In April 2018, a few weeks after the Cambridge Analytica scandal broke, Mark Zuckerberg was hauled in front of Congress to answer questions about Facebook's privacy practices. Most of the questioning was, frankly, embarrassing for the senators. They asked vague questions about Facebook selling data. They asked how Facebook made money if it was free. The room felt like a polite chat. And then it was Ben Luján's turn, a congressman from New Mexico. Not a famous senator, not a household name. He had done his homework. And he walked Zuckerberg straight into a corner with the calmness of someone reading a checklist. He asked a simple question. Facebook has detailed profiles on people who have never signed up for Facebook, yes or no? Zuckerberg's answer, on the public record, was that yes, Facebook collects data on people who haven't signed up. He framed it as a security measure to prevent malicious scraping. Luján let that hang for a moment, and then he said the word out loud: shadow profiles. He asked if Zuckerberg was familiar with the term. Zuckerberg said no, he was not familiar with it. The CEO of a company that had been accused of building these profiles for years claimed not to know what the term meant. And then Luján asked the question that mattered most. Could someone who does not have a Facebook account opt out of being tracked by Facebook? Zuckerberg's answer was a tangle. The closest he came to a direct response was telling Luján that to see what data Facebook had on you, you would need to sign up for an account. To find out what Facebook knew about you, in other words, you had to first agree to be known. That moment on C-SPAN was the closest the US government has ever come to forcing Facebook to admit what shadow profiles are. 6 years later, in 2024, the Federal Trade Commission released a 129-page report after a 4-year investigation into 9 of the biggest social media and video platforms in America. Meta, Facebook's parent company, was one of them. The report concluded that these companies engage in surveillance at a vast scale and explicitly called out the practice of collecting data on people who are not even users. The FTC was, in plain English, confirming what Luján had pointed at 6 years earlier. And yet, if you go to Facebook today and try to find out what they have on you as a non-user, the answer hasn't changed. You can't. There is no page, there is no portal. The only way to see your shadow profile is to give Facebook a real one. Here's the part that almost nobody talks about, because it sounds like a technicality until you sit with it. The shadow profile doesn't just describe what Facebook knows about you, it describes a system designed so that you cannot opt out of being known. Think about how that's different from regular tracking. If a website puts a cookie on your browser, you can delete the cookie. If an app tracks your location, you can revoke the permission. If a service has your data, you can ask them to delete it under the law. Those are all imperfect, but they exist. They give you a button. Even if the button doesn't always work, the button is there. There is no button for a shadow profile. You cannot delete data Facebook has on you because Facebook will not confirm it has data on you. You cannot revoke a permission you never granted. You cannot ask a friend to please not put your phone number in their address book. The system was designed, deliberately or not, in a way that takes the entire concept of consent and routes around it. You are not a customer, you are not a user. You are something else now, a person who is fully inside Facebook's database while standing outside Facebook's front door. And the strangest part is that this isn't an accident or a bug. It's the predictable result of how social networks make money, because the more they know about everyone, users and non-users, the better they can predict what users will buy, who they will marry, how they will vote. Your shadow profile isn't a side effect, it's part of the product. So can you actually do anything about a profile you never agreed to that you can't see on a service you've never used? Yes, but be honest with yourself. Less than you'd hope. 3 real moves. First, and this is the most underrated one, talk to the people closest to you. If your parents, your partner, your best friends sync their contacts to Facebook or Messenger, your phone number and name, and probably your relationship to them is already on Meta's servers. Ask them to turn off contact syncing. On the Facebook and Messenger apps, the setting is buried under account settings, then permissions. Have them go in and delete the contact data Facebook has already uploaded from their phone. It's the only real way to shrink your shadow profile because Facebook didn't get it from you. Facebook got it from them. Second, use the right that does exist, even if you're not a user. If you live in California, in the European Union, in the UK, or in any state with strong privacy laws, Facebook is required to respond to data access requests from non-users. The process is annoying. They make it hard on purpose, but you can file what's called a data subject request directly with Meta and force them to tell you what they have. Search for Meta Data Access Request for non-users and start there. Third, accept the trade-off honestly. As long as Facebook and Instagram exist, and as long as the people in your life use them, some version of you will exist inside Meta servers. The goal isn't to vanish. The goal is to shrink the file as much as you can and to stop pretending that not having an account is the same thing as not being on the platform. Here's what stays with me about this one. We have spent the last decade arguing about whether Facebook is good for democracy, whether it's good for kids, whether it's good for our attention. Real arguments, important arguments, but underneath all of that was a quieter question that we mostly skip, and Ben Luján asked it out loud on a Wednesday afternoon in 2018 and never got a real answer to it. The question was this: if you never said yes, if you never signed anything, if you never agreed to anything, if you never even opened the app, does a company still get to know who you are? Facebook has answered that question with its actions for 20 years. So now I'll leave it with you. Now that you know there's a file with your name on it inside a company you never joined, does that change how you feel about the apps your family uses? Tell me down in the comments.